All right. Good night, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talk the Ting. Talk the Ting. We are back. We are back. We are back. We have a guest with us, very special guest, big guest. He's organized a lot of events. He's a lot of stuff going on. But before we get to that, let's deal with some of the housekeeping things, that we normally cover, right? For one, the people in the chat, if you guys have any questions for the guests, you guys can ask your questions, and we will try to see if we could accommodate those questions, if there are questions we already have. All right. The other thing is, don't forget to follow the page, subscribe to our YouTube channel where we normally have the videos or the interviews or discussions rather, right after the interview. You guys could check it out over there, subscribe, like the page, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. We're excited to have this conversation tonight because we've been to a lot of this guy's events. And we want to talk to him about the good ones and
I don't think that I about positivity.
No man, I good. Yeah. let it fly.
No man. Listen, we're not with the attacking business. You just want to talk, just talk to him and just kind of get a feeling on the background of some of these events.
Talk to Ting.
Because the thing is, I haven't organized any event on the scale of a Viva, but I've been behind a couple events that I know is a lot of work, so he will be going into that, some of his, his feedback on that and, what some of the stuff that he thinks we could do better, even, in Dominica for events. With that said, we just want to get started. But before that, Renee, how was your day today?
Work in the Bronx, we had a homicide and we had one person shot. So that was a long day. Hopefully we catch the person who committed that crime. But other than that, for me, I've been okay. Just, maintaining and working and looking forward to having tantalizing conversations with my people like Dion, Devin. He goes by so many names. And Dwayne George. So.
Yeah. Right, it says something there, working in the Bronx and they had a murder. I don't know, if that's sort of a shock, but anyway, I don't want to alienate my Bronx people, so let me leave that there.
The Bronx is just, you have to keep your head on a swivel over there.
Yeah, man. So Devin, how was your day, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, man. I'm glad to be here. My day was pretty interesting. So in Florida, things have been kind of a free-for-all in general with regards to COVID, but now with the vaccinations going up and the COVID coming down, they've actually just relaxed a lot of the restrictions and stuff. It looks like Miami Carnival will be a go. So, starting to do some planning. I did a little road today, a little bit.
Oh my God.
Hey, talk to me. All right, so guys, we want Devin to kind of go a little bit into his background. Let's go way back. Let's go way back to the young days. Where were you born? What hospital you were born? What time were you born? All of those things.
You don't need all of that, no, but yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, give us a little background on Devin, man.
Yeah, so my parents are both from Dominica, from the Roseau area. My dad is from Newtown. My mom is from Goodwill. They moved to the US. They did their college degrees and stuff. They lived in New York for some time. They were married and so on up there. I was born in Bronxville, actually, in New York. And then my sister is, like 4 years younger than me. And then my mom's mom passed. And my mom was like, I can't do this no more. I want to go back home, blah, blah, blah. The rest is history. We moved back. So I was like 4 or 5 when I moved back. I went to creche. I went to SMP. I went to SMA. I went State College. Renee's mom was my counselor, So Renee and I go way back, even before that, So we've been friends for a long time. And, we kept in touch throughout the years. After I left, I went up to the States. While I was in Dominica, I also used to swim with Dr. Alport's team. I used to represent Dominica regionally in the swimming competitions in various islands. And, I was part of student council and stuff like that. In Dominica, like I grew up there. So if people know, I generally, what's going on with that. After I left Dominica, I did my SATs, and then I went to Florida Institute of Technology. I studied computer science when I got there. To Renee's question earlier, like, how was that with regards to, like, did you ask the question?
Wait, let me go to that. We'll get to that.
But live? Am I going too fast?
Yes, going too fast.
Yeah.
Slow down. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't want to get into that question yet, because I kind of want to stick with Dominica for a second.
Okay.
That's like your background. That's where you've met a lot of instrumental people in your life, right?
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of your longtime friends, your Borja, your people, your besties that you are still rolling with, actually in Florida, that are part of the diaspora, are still with you. So we kind of still want to talk about that. How was your experience? I mean, yeah, you were 4 years old, so it's not that big of a transition. But How was it when you came to Dominica? You had a little bit of experience as a 4-year-old in a different country, made new friends, and then had to leave again. Because I do remember when you left. I mean, I left as well, but we went to different states. So I kind of want to talk about, first your Dominican experience. How looking back now, do you think growing up in Dominica in your formative years played a role in your success?
Yeah, for sure. Because as you know, I've been listening to your show a couple of times, and being Black American versus being like Caribbean American is a completely different thing. And so one of our good friends, Odell, who you know well, we talk about this all the time. And one of the things that we believe to be true is that we actually take a lot of opportunities away from Black Americans because they try to compare them to us, and we're not really comparable. We have just different etiquette about us, And that being said, there's different classes and cultures everywhere. But generally, when we leave to come up here, we're about the business. We came to further education, to succeed. And, we all come up here with this aspiration of, one day I want to go back home. And, you'd ask her, every time I talk to her, when are we moving back now? And it's like, it's a joke, but I don't see why we wouldn't eventually plan to move back. So that is how I actually kind of got involved in doing more things in Dominica, is just trying to plant roots and figure a way to make my way back eventually.
Right. So, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because, we have to give credit where credit is due. Obviously, I wasn't a young male, so I didn't go to SMA or SMP. I went to Common High School, which is comparable, right, in terms of the education system. Sure. But, one thing that I always wanted to ask techie people coming from Dominica is, I remember when I was in Dominica and I was doing the look at MSN Messenger. I know you remember that, because I would always see Space Rap, Space Rap jumping up on the Messenger and stuff, but I had dial-up internet. We didn't grow up in the age of real technological advancement in Dominica. So I want to know how we had a little bit, but is that what happened? Is that how you got into tech? You got a little introduction of that, and you were fascinated with the development of computers, and talk to me about how your first introduction to tech got you to wanting to study more.
Yeah, so the first thing I ever really did on the computer was Sticky Bear on one of those old school computers with floppy disk and all this kind of stuff. You had to load it up, and I used to try to play that whenever I could. And my parents were always very strict, so I could only play so much sometimes. Definitely not during the school week. It's always homework, study.
Yep. I think all of us went through it.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say, just always being curious in tinkering with stuff, and I was always kind of very hands-on, and my dad was also very hands-on with not necessarily electronics, but with physical things. A lot of, a guy's guy, if you will. So, a lot of that kind of stuff. And, I just kept being interested in computers, and my mom and my dad both had friends in the computer industry in Dominica. So, Burgess from Burgecom actually was one of the first people to give me an opportunity, as well as Mr. Pierre, who ran. So early days, Dominica was actually one of before Clear Harbor. That's where they used to actually build Google Maps. So there was a facility in where they were actually doing the mapping. The pictures would be there, and then there would be the tracing of the lines and where the road is and where the tree is, and all that kind of stuff. So I worked with these guys when I was pretty young, and that was not in it's not what I do today, but it was, very good exposure to what, computers can and will do. So actually, when I got to the States to study computers, I wanted to study computer engineering. And the first professor I went to go see, it was between computer engineering and computer science. And when I went to the computer engineering guy, I was just like really boring guy from India. Like I could barely understand him. He was dry. And then I was like, all right, this is the guy I have to deal with every day. All right, cool. And then I went to the computer science guy, and he had SpongeBob and Patrick in his office swinging from the rafters. And I was like, all right, this is fun. This is more my speed.
Yeah.
So I ended up going that route because of that. But, I was interested in computers in general, and I didn't actually decide on computer science until I went on campus.
So, I mean,
until you went to college.
Well, so in State College in Dominica, I had a triple major. So I did biology, computer science, and I can't remember what the other one was now. But
was it math or chemistry?
Probably math.
Yeah.
Probably math.
I remember it was sciencey. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a triple major I was always interested in computers. I did the computer programs at SMA. And like I said, I did have jobs in Dominica doing computer stuff.
So I don't want to move forward unless I understand the difference between computer science and computer engineering. Because I thought it was always the same thing, just y'all playing with little gadgets and putting something together.
I think a good way to explain it is the difference between Apple and Microsoft. So up until now, Apple was terrible at software. Now Apple's software is good, But for the longest time, if you think about it, there was no software on Apple. They just had good hardware. So you'd go and you'd get a Mac, and then you need to run Windows on it because you needed to run Office, and then you needed to get Photoshop, and you needed to get all these programs. But now Apple's software is better. So Apple is hardware, Microsoft is software, and that's kind of the difference.
Okay.
So computer engineering is more like electronics, like actual physical switches, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So speaking.
That goes into that question of you said when you kind of got to the school, you decided like what direction you wanted to go. So what did you apply for then?
Well, I applied for computer engineering, and then when I got there, the advisor was just in talking. She said, "Well, I'll also set you up with computer science," because I wasn't really sure. In Dominica, you only really have programming, right? It's not even called any one of those things. Like there's a programming class where you did like Pascal or Delphi or like one of those things, and that was pretty much it.
Okay. So
and then you went to FIT.
FIT, correct.
Is that what brought you back to Florida after your college days, or in terms of not going to California like most people maybe would do if you're in that field?
No.
Yeah, why Florida?
No.
Don't tell me because it's warm.
No, I mean my wife gets all the credit. My wife gets all the credit for me coming back to Florida, to be honest. So I wasn't living in Florida, and that we haven't gotten to that part of the story yet. So let me know if you want to jump forward or how you want to handle it from here.
Well, you can connect it if you want.
Yeah, man, just connect it. Give us the whole.
All right, so let me just run you through it real quick, right? So I was at Florida Tech for college. I had that meeting with the advisor. I'm on campus. I'm getting my stuff organized. Day one, I get on campus, and I'm walking through the place, and this tall, lanky, dark-skinned guys, like brown-skinned guys, like, "Yo, you from the Caribbean?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, come for me." So I'm actually not even in any of my the picture that you take, your class picture. I didn't even make it to that because I ended up in like our rat or like our campus eating place, just playing dominoes with them. And so my transition from being in the Caribbean to being at college was basically just moving to a Caribbean kind of school environment. Yeah, my school is very international, so I have a lot of friends from everywhere in the Caribbean and in the world actually, which is pretty cool. So, and that was good. There was a lot of good opportunities in college, made some good connections, did some really cool projects, got recognition and so on and so forth. But that was a good foundation. And then
you were not to cut you off, but you basically went from a Caribbean island to a Caribbean American state in terms of your Florida campus. But the question is, when you were in Dominica and you knew, okay, I finished state college, I garnered enough experience, I want to take this further and further my school. I'm like Dwayne said, tech is in California and all those things. Why Florida? You have 50 states, sir. Why Florida?
Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit more. All right, so
plus DC.
all right, so I finished college, and Microsoft was recruiting at my school, and they were trying to recruit me. And I had actually just planned a Euro trip with my same Caribbean friends. We were going to Europe for a month. I said, well, mom, dad, like these guys want me to come to Microsoft to interview, or I can go on this Euro trip. And my parents said, go on the trip. Microsoft will be here when you get back.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was cool. So while I was on the trip, Microsoft called me like, hey, you have like an hour to just do like a quick phone thing while you're, and I was like in transit, rushing between things in Italy, yelling out directions in, whatever I knew in Italian, still holding the conversation and all that. And the role was in like a consulting capacity. So they were just impressed with my ability to be on point and multitask in that high kind of pressure environment. And they're like, listen, I can see you're busy. We really like this conversation. Well, as soon as you get back, we'll fly you out. And then the ball started rolling from there. So I flew out to Redmond, which is on the West Coast, had my interview out there. Obviously I got the position. And then I actually started in New York.
You started in New York, you said?
Yeah, so I started in New York, yeah. So I was in New York for a while, and then they did a little bit of a reorg, and then they moved all the new hires to Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's where I was for a while. So I was in New York for like 4 months, and I was in Charlotte, North Carolina for 3 years. And then, in that 3-year span, I discovered Carnival. And then I started flying back home finally. And, because like I was getting a lot of pressure because I was flying like to Trinidad and stuff. And everybody's be like, you sell your flag, my brother, it's Carnival in the air, and you in Trinidad, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. You know that pressure, right, Renee?
Yeah.
So Devin, before you go a little further, so we had a couple episodes back where we spoke about transitioning to the US, and you going into college. Did you do any internships?
No.
No?
No,
wow.
I didn't.
What was the reason for that?
I was just lazy, honestly. I was just enjoying my summers. I was just doing whatever I wanted in my free time. And I wouldn't say I regret it, but when I advise mentees or whenever I, have the opportunity to speak to college students, I advise them to get their resume up to snuff and interviews and do internships and all that. It can only help you.
Yeah, for sure.
Misguided.
So from Charlotte, no, what was the next move?
So from Charlotte,
how long were you with Microsoft?
I was with Microsoft for about 10 years, just shy of 10 years. Yeah.
So then from Charlotte, what was the next move?
So I, still with Microsoft, but then I went to Dominica for World Creole Music Festival, and connected with my now wife who lived in Miami, and I was traveling a lot for work, so I basically was just like Charlotte, Miami, wherever I had to go for work. And that was like the triangle that I was doing. And I was like, I have a really expensive closet in North Carolina. Time to close shop. And my parents lived in Florida still. So, all of that. Plus, Florida is more of a melting pot than New York even, actually. We have a lot of culture down here. And North Carolina was really getting to me in terms of like, I had a lot of friends. I was having a lot of fun, but there was no Caribbean culture, which was kind of lacking for me. And that's another reason why I didn't move like out west, because out west it's even blander,
Right.
Don't forget, you said you were gonna give credit to Maria, right? To moving back to Florida, because I remember when you guys met.
You want credit?
I just remember you guys met and we were in a bar together. And I don't even know if you ever told Maria this story. We were in a bar together and you said to me, boy, I think I'm gonna marry this girl. And I thought you were the craziest man ever, because I was
in
like,
Dominica? Dream Trail Festival?
It was in New York. You will come in.
You mean after the fact? After the fact. Oh,
yeah.
If you're talking about the night, I think you're talking about, I was really quite drunk, huh? But that was a good night. I don't remember that night.
They say a beautiful person is a drunk
man. That was accurate though. I was going to marry her. Yeah, I obviously.
Well, obviously. But I remember, so I know you said that also played a part in going back to Florida and putting
for sure. For sure. Yeah, definitely.
And so you met Maria at a fete in Dominica, right? World Creole Music Festival, right?
Well, so my mom's best friend is Cheryl Roll. and
Okay.
she was married to William Roll, who is Maria's dad's brother. So there was always that connection from the time we were small. Maria doesn't remember any of this, but I remember. I kind of have a weird knack for remembering. So, I bounced up to her, was like, hey.
So you're telling me you have your eyes on Maria since you guys were small?
No, actually, the funny story is that was actually Maria's brother and my little sister. I was not in that picture at all. But it just so happened to work out the other way. Yeah, it's life. You never really know how it's gonna shake out.
But you guys, what I noticed from also talking to you, being your friend, and from your posting and your Instagram, you guys have somehow come together with your love of soca music, bouillon music, Caribbean culture, and kind of garnered that into event planning. So kind of tell us a little bit about how you went from still having tech as your main source of income to also now looking at, hey, how can we make this fruitful and also make it a better experience for people like us?
Sure. So in college, like I said, I had a lot of Caribbean friends, a lot of Trinis, and we just ended up having house parties. So the house parties eventually graduated into like we would rent a venue and just charge for like cups, just college vibes. And then it ended after college. There was no more of that. But Maria actually studied hospitality, and she is a wedding planner.
Oh, okay.
So she was doing a lot of weddings, corporate events, etc., etc. And I had that background in fetting, and we loved carnival. So those two things kind of just came together organically.
Oh, wow.
So you said something earlier when you were speaking. You said you discovered carnival. What that mean?
Well, so Dominica Carnival and Trinidad Carnival, I think anybody would agree, is two completely different things, right? So I would say I discovered Trinidad style carnival. Just put it like that, right? Because now Dominica is adopting some of the Trinidad styles that you see in some of the more modern bands and stuff like that. But Dominica Carnival is really just a truck on the road and everybody jumping behind it. That is Dominica Carnival to me. Trinidad Carnival is not that. It is a lot more structured, a lot more organized, a lot more, amenities and this and that. And not only that, but the fets and how, like, the fetting is a big part of it. And obviously I'm very interested in fets and very interested in carnival. So that's how I ended up kind of getting involved with first carnival and then kind of branching out more into fets. And we can discuss why I kind of made that switch as well, because I think that's interesting too.
Yeah, so discuss it.
So go ahead.
Okay, cool. So we were here in South Florida, and we were, just regular masqueraders, and we were playing with Gen X, and we were going to the mass camp to get our costume distribution and stuff, and it was just a bad experience. Like, it was really tough, and they obviously weren't organized, and I'm just like, I'm a computer guy, so I'm like, I can see where they have paper processes, I can see where they're tripping over the, I'm like, I could help them to streamline this. And Maria's like, yeah, I could help them to organize this and make this pretty, and so that's kind of where that came from. So we wrote them an email like, hey, we're a couple, we'd like to be involved. And we met with the band leader, Gregory Anthony, and he said, well, let's give it a try. And we joined, and then we, stayed part of it for several years and eventually became board of directors. And we're involved in every aspect of carnival production, from the conceptualization of the theme, the designing of the costumes, the ordering of the costumes, the getting the prototypes, getting the models, doing the promotion, getting the band launched, handling the orders, the registration, the customer service, the website, like the billing of the truck, the mass count, the production, the road. Like, there's a lot of sauce that gets put in that bouillon of carnival to be able to pull it off. So,
but what's crazy to me is that you still had a full-time job just like Maria. So that, to me, what you're describing is itself a full-time job. So how are you juggling, like, first of all, your relationship, 1, 2, your tech degree and your tech career, and then 3, Gen X and planning events and getting all of that together? Like, do you think you stretched yourself a little too thin?
No, actually, it's very manageable. It's not happening all at once. This is over a period of like a year, right? It's just different steps.
Oh, okay.
I just listed them off really quickly, but it's a lot of stuff that's going on, but you have time to plan. And I'm not doing everything myself. There's a team, right? There's a team of like 15, 20 people. Everybody has their roles, responsibilities. We meet we only used to meet like once a week, once every 2 weeks,
Oh, okay.
And then we would just like kind of, the committee would come together. We'd go through the agenda. We'd go through, everybody would give their update. We would see what needed adjusting, course correction, etc., and kind of go from there. So
So that's basically
So,
you saying to be effective at those things, you have to plan ahead, right? You can't be scrambling last minute and then you don't have
Well,
a proper product.
well, that's everything, and a lot of times projects kind of get thrown together, and if you don't have a good foundation, then it will collapse. And like bringing our events to Dominica was testament to us being able to plan ahead because, again, not to skip ahead, but it took a lot of coordination to make that possible.
yep. So in I think it was 2017, I think it was. I was in Miami Carnival and I heard about this fete, Viva la Carnival. And Cooler Fete, all that. And, Cooler Fetes are really nice, right? So we went over there and I have to say, man, it was a very, very good event. And I have to say, one of the things I didn't forget was I think you had International Steven. And at one point, he stopped playing all the Trinity music and he started playing all like Dominica music, small island music. And I was like, all right, this is different. It's not something that normally happens, even if you go to a club in New York and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit about Viva. What was the concept on that developed and how that kind of came across?
Okay, so even like before I left Dominica, we had like some small promotion in us as well. My mom used to have like a New Year's party, and that was at our house actually, and we used to have Triple K playing there. This is before Triple K was even like on the road with a truck, anything like that. This was like one of the first things to the point where like their fingers were bleeding because they hadn't been accustomed to playing that much music for that long, right? So Buyo is in me, right? Like I say. So anywhere I go, I spread the Buyo culture. And if I can find a DJ that has that cross appeal, like if I can get a DJ from Dominica to really create a name for himself that I could be like, all right, I'm putting you on the lineup and you're going to draw, then I would do it in a heartbeat, So I'm so happy when it can happen. And International Steven, his wife is from St. Lucia. He lives in Trinidad. He was Marshall's road DJ. And I'm from Dominica and I give them that vibe. So they're just like, all right, bro, I'm going to give it to you. So International Steven has been on every single Viva La Carnival from the beginning, every year. And, he's a good friend with regards to, making that happen. And, with regards to the Bouillon music, like we try to give it, and I'm really looking forward to the day when I can do like a pure Bouillon session in a Viva, not in Dominica. It will happen. It just needs to be the right time.
Yeah, man. But I don't hold you to that. Where did the idea for Viva come from?
Oh, sorry. So I was in Gen X at the time. I was trying to convince Gen X to do it. I was like, guys, we have the truck already. Just put the truck in a parking lot and turn it on. So that's really what happened year one. We just put the truck in the parking lot. We did other things. We built it up nicely. We, coolers and all that. And yeah, that's where it was born from. And Gen X was like, listen, we don't want to be part of it. We'll just rent you the truck. So that's what happened. So we used Gen X truck for a couple of years, and then there was a year where we didn't use a truck, and then now we have other arrangements as well. So yeah, I mean that's where the truck came from. And then when we came to Dominica, obviously we wanted to have the truck again to have that same kind of effect. It's a little bit more challenging in Dominica because the trucks are not as, how do I put this? Not as impressive. The truck is smaller. The truck is not really designed to push sound out to the side. It's only straight back. So those are some modifications that we had to make to Triple K's truck to accommodate that. And the guys at GX were really accommodating and making that happen. But in putting the speakers on the side, them man actually come to me and say, boy, everybody asking me for speakers on the side now. They see a big difference. So it's like just introducing something that work overseas into the culture to just enhance the vibes,
So you said something earlier about just a little while ago about Dominican DJs and how they could kind of make their, build a name for themselves. Do you have any advice for any DJ in terms of how they could do that?
You need to fly yourself out. Take your money, fly yourself out. If you are at any carnival that I'm at, I'm happy to walk you around and introduce you to everybody, make you go. Like, I'll give you an example. This is a true story. So I was at my house and I was having a conversation with the owners of Uber Soca. I'm one of the people who was instrumental in helping them to solidify their ground team here in Florida. And a lot of their staff and the amenities that they bring on the boat comes from Florida, and I facilitate that. So we were having a conversation about logistics, and they're like, oh, by the way, we have Ace. I was like, oh man, awesome. I'm so glad you put him on the bill. Like, yeah, we're gonna put him for like the dinner party. I was like, what? Like, no, listen to me. Cancel that. Asa's on Juve after this one. After, yes, put him in that spot. All right, cool. So they did that. So I was like, all right, cool. So I literally just made everything Asa wanted to do possible. They're like, he wants to bring water on stage. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. I'm like, allow it. So I was actually on the stage in Haiti that day, facilitating that to happen. And a lot of the videos that came out from that actually took myself from that and just pumping that out. And that is where Asa started traveling. So if I could do any, and I'm sure Asa does not remember this. I've never told him this. This first time this has probably been said in a public forum, but it's a true story. And so basically, I don't want credit for it. Anything that I could do to facilitate the culture, I will do it. So if a DJ can make themselves available to travel and reach in a carnival, you know, very well connected internationally, I can plug them into where they need to be, meet who they need to meet, and make themselves.
So, you know, talking about that, I know there's been a lot of conversations on Facebook Live, right, by people about artists and in Dominica and them either missing the mark or them doing well. But I mean, one of the arguments is that artists sometimes feel like they should be flown out versus they having to fly themselves out. So like you mentioned, you said that, you know, the DJs, you know, you will go as far as helping them, you know, if they want to help themselves. But what do you think of the argument when they say, no, boy, I can't, you know, if they want me, they'll fly me out?
Stay home. That's my honest to God feedback, bro. Like, you need to put a lot of these guys that are traveling everywhere now started from nothing. Nobody gave it to anybody. Like, we all know, like, where I am today in my career, where I am today in my promotions, where I am today in anything, like, I had to strive for that. My brand didn't start from, yo, it's hype. It didn't start there. It started from literally grassroots. So if you want to start a grassroots movement, you have to put that work in. Take your money that you collect around the place, save it for your plane ticket, get your work permit, fly out, get in touch with the promoters, know who's who, buy your fat ticket, go and stand up in line. Like, humble yourself. You have to humble yourself. Like, a lot of these guys talking about, like, oh, I want to own 100% of my masters and this and that. Bro, nobody owns 100% of nothing. Ownership means at least 50%. Figure out what that means to you, because, you know, what's the point of owning 100% of zero is zero. Go out there, put yourself out there and find the opportunities. You have to hustle, because guess what? Dominica is not well known. I don't need to tell anybody that. We know this. We're a little paradise behind God's back, and we've been that way for always and forever. And, you know, we're getting a little bit more exposure now, but I mean, we always hot now. And Asa took it to that place. And then on the back of that, other things were built. Look, now we have, you know, Asa. And then, you know, this is the other thing, is the very next thing Asa did after that is he made the diss track. the Booyah Hot. The man come and the Chef Solution. I was like, bro, like, just let the thing breathe. Let them build it. Marshall have it. Skinny have it. That is really, really hot right now. So, you know, even now it was starting to build up a lot more, and we'll see what happens when the pandemic is, you know.
It's over.
I can't. Nah, you can't say over, bro. Like, let's not go there. That's a political conversation. You can bring me back on another day to talk about that.
Speaking into existence, man. We're tired of this pandemic business.
I want it to be over as much as the next year. Trust me, because last year we didn't do nothing. We didn't do any events at all whatsoever. I'm very, very OCD when it comes to COVID. So,
I have a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, really. Go ahead.
So I just have a quick question. If, let's say, somebody like me, I also like carnival. I don't have any real background in event planning. Do you think it's a you know, a field that an average person can break into without having experience beforehand?
Yes.
So you would recommend people in Dominica to try to host events that, you know, because the thing is, people don't know where to start. People don't know how much money, because people think sometimes too, they have to come out of pocket. And when you tell people they have to put their own money up, people tend to be like, boy, I don't want to really sacrifice that and then flop, you know?
You don't want to start nowhere, right? And just be like, oh, I'm a promoter. No, you will fail, you know? So if you have no experience, you just get involved. Get involved with, you know, a group that you like. Get involved with a group that you don't like. You know, just try and see how you can make yourself useful. And then you will have something to bring to the table. And you will learn a lot. And you will see if it makes sense for you. I mean, when we got involved, like I said, we didn't really have a whole lot going on. And you know, an easy place to start is just like being an ambassador. Like we just like a simple thing like selling tickets, because one of the things that I told Gregory from Gen X early on, because he's like, you have to promote. And I was like, I'm not promoting. I'm not gonna be out there doing that. And you have to get comfortable doing that. So if you can start actually just with promoting, it will take you a long way, because in promoting, you are the face of it. You have to understand what the concept is. You have to understand what the ticket prices is. You have to understand what you get with it. And guess what? If you sell a ticket to somebody and they have a problem, they're gonna come to you first before they even post it on Facebook, right? So you get that full kind of, and if you're working with somebody like me, like I have a very strong relationship with our ambassadors. So if they have a question, you know, they reach directly out to me, and I want to empower them to be that voice of it. So like when we have Viva, it's like by the people, for the people. We mean that, we do it. So, you know, any feedback we get, we implement it if we can.
I've heard you say a lot of good stuff now. So I have a couple of tough questions for you now. So
shoot.
We were in Dominica a couple years ago.
Okay.
And you had an event that I think I told you this before. It's not that it was a bad event, but it was not at the level that me personally I expected, right? Sure. Compared to Viva going to Miami and even Viva in Dominica, right?
Sure.
So that was so I don't know how you pronounce it. Soulacion. All right. So that was when you had the boat ride and all that stuff. So right. I think you had a breakfast, you had 3 boats, you had the breakfast and stuff. And you know, the feedback that I heard a lot of was, you know, obviously people comparing it to Viva. So what is your response to, I guess, some of the negative feedback that you maybe have got from that particular event? And you know, moving forward, how do you guys think you're gonna attack that? What were some of your mistakes? I guess if you think the event was not what it's supposed to be, what was something that you guys think you got wrong?
Okay, so let me ask you a question before I answer the question. Which events did you go to that weekend?
Sunrise.
You didn't have Sunrise.
Sunrise was last year. Sunrise was last year. Not last year. Sunrise was that was the year before. I think I went somewhere Friday night. I can't remember where it was, but I went to the boat ride. I went to Viva. And then Juve, I think it was Powder Fest with Iman and them in the
You were on the boat and you were on the land and you were at Viva.
Yeah.
You did all 3.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so I think simply put, we realized that we just kind of took on a little bit too much. It was because, like I said, with a lot of planning, it was possible to orchestrate it. But the thing is, the most that there's a human element to it. So it doesn't matter that I'm willing to make it happen. Everybody else on the team has to be able to make it happen, right? Like I say, it's not just me, like it's a team. Everybody has their responsibility. And there's no one person in particular that did anything wrong. It's just like people in Dominica are not accustomed to going from fete to fete to fete to fete. It takes a certain amount of stamina to do it. And furthermore, it takes a certain amount of stamina to do it while drinking and partying and be the life of the party and the host and field the questions. So for everybody involved, it became like kind of a lot. So we went from Viva ended on time, from Viva to the boats. So we had 3 boats, as you mentioned. I loved actually how we did that whole marketing concept, the surprise of which boat was which. People didn't even know which boat it was until they literally got on it, which I just love that like element of surprise. And I think, you know, everybody on the boats, I think the boats are a much better time than on the land. Which boat did you end up on, George? Dwayne?
I really can't remember what boat number. It was with the Trini DJ on there. I think you on the boat I was on, you know.
I was?
Yeah, man. I think you on the boat I was on. But then I think the boat I was on, we went down towards like Maho side.
All the boats
kind of went up that way, and yeah. Yep.
I don't know which boat you're on. I couldn't tell you. It was dark. I was drinking. But
I liked when the boats came together though. But I remember a lot of people was jumping from one boat to our boat, and I was like, what the heck?
Because I mean, the thing is, right? So I mean, in the field that I work, right, safety is a big deal, right? I work in electric, right? So, you know, just thinking from a safety standpoint, couple of things, right? I don't know if you guys did. I really don't remember. You know, in terms of, you know, names of people out on the boat. Because in terms of people jumping from boat to boat, I mean, we do these kind of things in Dominica, but I don't know if it's the safest practice. Somebody fall off that boat somewhere off of Maui, you might never see them again, so,
Yeah. So that didn't happen. So obviously that's not the most ideal thing to happen, but it was fun and it happened. And luckily we didn't have any injuries.
Yep, indeed.
The other thing is to consider is like the boat captains and the boat crew were the crews for those boats, and they do charters all the time. So each boat was fully crewed with people who are professionals in that field. So they were managing that interaction when people were going from boat to boat, and that only happened actually after the sun rose. That was not happening under the sun.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
So, and it was happening in, the Caribbean Sea is like a lake. It's not rough. It was safe-ish for it to happen. Actually, one of the reasons that we ended up meeting up is because one of the boats ran out of ice. So there's a lot of things that just happened behind the scenes. And we, while we were throwing the ice, the boats were close enough, and then we decided to make it happen. So that was.
Where did the third boat go that it went down by Superior side? I didn't see that third boat. I didn't see it up to the
third boat had avalanche on it. And avalanche to flip the boat over. And they were just having too much. They just, when I say that, I mean they just got lost at sea. They were just having so much fun that they just kind of, I think they did meet up with one of the other boats, but I didn't meet up with that boat. The boat that I was on. I was on boat 2, I think. Anyway, so yeah, we leave there, and then here's where things really got hairy. And I'll just give you the raw and dirty of what actually happened. Some of this stuff on the boat needs to be transferred, needs to be secured and transferred. There is a whole bacchanal happening on the bayfront that morning. We have to cross through that with all the stuff that we have. I lose my shoe. Who's supposed to be there sleeping drunk somewhere? Like it just it was a little sloppy. So the breakfast had a slow start, and then towards the end it got like actually really vibesy, but that slow start in the beginning was definitely a turnoff, even for us. So that's why we decided not to do that again. We didn't do the boats again because having 3 boats sounds cool and it was fun, but it's like 3 of everything. 3 bar, 3 staff, 3 different sets of DJs, plane tickets, this, that, and it was just it was profitable, but it was a lot to manage. So we just figured to just make it be more simple. We would do the boat thing again if we could get one big boat, which we are trying to do. We're trying to import a boat in Dominica for Carnival to do that, but it's been challenging as well because it's busy tourist season in other places, and Carnival in places that have the large boats, and they have a bigger market for it. Like literally there's a boat ride every 4 hours in Trinidad from 2 weeks before Carnival. Every 4 hours there's a boat ride in Trinidad on the same boat. And in Dominica, people will complain if you have 2 fetes in one weekend. So that's kind of the different animals when I talk about like the difference between like a Trini Carnival and Dominica Carnival and the stamina.
So actually, I want to ask you, since you're in production and you're doing so much with Carnival, would you start a Carnival band in Dominica? So that a band that you think would be comparable to Trinidad in terms of costume design and production, and because you remember you started off saying when you and Maria went to Gen X, you realized when you were picking up your costumes, it was a hell of a thing, right? So I want to know if that's something you thought of doing in Dominica.
No, I have not considered doing it in Dominica. Some of my close friends have their own bands, like I'm a Hysteric in Dominica. And again, a lot of people doing this. I've helped them to launch their band. I helped them with ideas and when necessary logistics and stuff, and we bounce ideas informally because like I said, we are just friends in general. So I would just continue to encourage Hysteric to be great, and I think that they bring a lot of what is needed in Dominica. Even last year we did a little collaboration with them with like having Avalanche be part of their production, so we collaborate, and I will just continue to help them to be better. And with regards to like having a band of my own, like that's a tough question. And it also leads into like why I left Gen X is because like as much as Carnival is all about love and unity and this and that and culture, yes, but the band thing is kind of a weird dynamic because if you're in this band, you're automatically against that band.
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So yeah,
an issue too is the artists usually associated with one band. So it's like, oh, if I really like this artist, it's like I have to stick with that band.
It's all about exclusivity.
Over. Yeah.
They want to be very exclusive and have that vibe for themselves only. So when I branched out to do Viva, which was, you know, one of the first big things that I did outside of like our New Year's stuff, we decided just to not be part of any band, especially not here in Miami, just to keep it wholesome. Yeah. I'm very cordial with all of the bands. We have really great conversations. We support each other. I support all the bands. We have a great relationship. But as far as being my own band here, I don't see that being beneficial for what I do.
Okay. So what are the events? I mean, have you, let me ask the question differently. Have you helped with any other major events in Dominica or in Miami apart from Viva?
So we have quite a few productions of our own. So we have a New Year's party that we do. Will range anywhere from like 500 to 1,000 people. We have a brunch event that we do that's around like 800 people. We have what that's called Bubbles and Brunch. We have obviously, well, we've actually done sections to leave Miami, and like I hosted a section in Creve for Cropover, and in Cropover I actually did my own cruise as well. That was interesting and fun. We've done our own festivals. So I also did a festival called Electric Carnival. That was a really big production that we did. That was very, very, very fun. What else? We've done a lot of carnival stuff. Carnival related, obviously Viva. We've partnered with Candy Coated from Trinidad, who is, I don't know if you guys know this, but Candy Coated is kind of like akin to like Caesar's Army. They're actually married. So Candace and I partnered to do an event. We both did like an all-inclusive kind of vibe. So we did an event called Citrus, Miami Carnival Friday. We partnered with Dr. J from Toronto, who is the biggest promoter in Toronto in the Caribbean scene, and we do Soca or Die here in Miami. We were approached by the government of Dominica and the Ministry of Tourism to host the VIP. Actually, we were in talks for that several years, and we didn't do it because of like timing and coordination and stuff. Like I said, it cannot just happen. It needs to be well planned, especially if I'm going to put my brand on it. So, you know, a couple of years we actually declined it, and then, you know, we were able to do the World Creole Music Festival VIP. So we were the ones who hosted and produced the World Creole Music Festival VIP, where we had the VVIP, the Village, and the Party VIP, and all that kind of stuff. And we think that was really well received in Dominica as well. And then apart from that, like I mentioned, Uber Soca, we were involved in that. We're not really formally attached to them, but you know, we did have some involvement there. And coming up, I'm actually getting involved with this new entity called Small Island Soca Cruise, who is going to be doing a cruise throughout the Eastern Caribbean, including in Dominica. So we have quite a few people.
Triple K is on that, right?
Triple K is on that, yeah.
Yeah, that's next November. Next November.
Next year, so 2022. It's cruising. And you know, shameless plug: if you use the promo code Radiance, you can get $100 off your reservation. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's actually
just. I hope you guys see that.
Yeah.
Shameless plug. No, and listen, don't be scared to don't be scared to plug your stuff here. That's why you're here for. Exactly. So plug your stuff, right? So if you guys want to go on the Small Island cruise, right, you could use the code Radiance and get $100 off your reservation. Right, I think right now is I think I saw flyers, $250 deposit right now, right, to book or something.
So it's $350, but with the Radiance code it's $250. So that's where you get that extra off, and you know, that would be cool. And then in Dominica, of course, we have, like I mentioned, we're really tight with Hysteria and with Infinite 767, and you know, we just like a vibe. You know, we don't mind partnering and sharing and just kind of bringing everybody along for the ride and having a good time.
Boy, people excited about that Small Island cruise, boy. Write the promo code in the chat. Like there, I ready. Present. Look things, boy. So now, Devin. So now, you know, you sent us a little bio. There's a couple of things in there. I mean, I'm a sports guy. You know, as you can see, I have my Manchester United jersey. So tell us a little bit about your swimming, you know, experience. You know, representing Dominica regionally. And any other sports that you were interested or still interested in? You're still interested in.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I used to swim. My event was sprinting, sprints, so butterfly and freestyle. And we used to do a lot of that. This actually brings me back to our good old friend Kedron Popo. He's one of my really good friends growing up, and he passed, some years now. But we used to compete really hard. It was like me, Kedron, Yannick Brisbane, O'Malley Prevo, Jana Williams. Like there was a whole, I could go down the list. There was a whole squad, and we were just swimming a lot. We used to swim every day. We used to practice every day. We used to swim like 30 kilometers a day, thousands of laps every day. And we at first we were training in the ocean, and then eventually Dr. Alport actually built a pool in her yard. And then, it was just shy of a 25-meter pool, but it was enough. And we used to train there, and then we used to travel. And I've only actually ever represented Dominica, I think like once or twice, mostly in St. Lucia. But that was a really good experience to see all the other islands coming to compete. St. Lucia, Grenada, Barbados, all these other places. And I mean, our swimming program was, like I said, just being mature. We just got a pool. We just kind of started getting good. And you go over there and you just get like completely demolished. They were so fast. And they had so much stamina. Like, remember, our pool is a little shorter too. So just the 2 extra strokes at the end, like it's all about the rhythm and timing, and you're accustomed to like how the waves are moving. And so, but the first time I went, after the first time I went, I got a lot faster. So you just kind of have to see like, oh man, I thought I was fast, but I'm not. I need to push, so even like being here in Miami, and it's the same thing, like even like doing events and stuff, like you can see around you like what's better, and bring that to the table and achieve it where possible within the budget. So that's what's swimming in a nutshell for me. And I still have a lot of good friends that I met from swimming from other islands. So that was, again, good networking. And I'd encourage everybody in general, just networking. It's all about networking. All the artists who want to make it, network. If you just want to be a chef, network. Whatever it is you want to do. Sports. I was a big time Juventus fan back in the day. I was a big Zidane fan back in the day. Nowadays I don't watch too much football. I'm more into like more basketball, motorsports. I watch a lot of like rally racing, WRC. I drive a Subaru as well. I do race my Subaru on, I go and I do track days and all that kind of stuff.
Like Fast and Furious or what?
Well, that's Fast and Furious, like on the road, which will happen.
On the road.
We actually go to the track and we do. I started off doing autocross and then eventually graduated into doing like the Homestead circuits. You actually on the race course with your car, wheel to wheel. Yeah, right. I tell you, when you come to Florida, you must clear customs, and I will take you and show you some things.
I don't get in that car, not me. I observe the speed limit. Thank you very much.
Yes, officer. Yes, officer. And then obviously, just like water sports, boating. I like photography actually. I take a lot of pictures. I've gotten into like drone photography and just like regular photography. Now I just shoot with my phone. I have a phone that takes pretty good pics. So I don't even take my camera out too much anymore.
So wait a second. So I remember you always used to talk about how much you didn't like Apple, right? That was like a thing. You were like, I don't know, it's people obsession with Apple. And so, I know we kind of winding down.
How are you back on Apple?
No, because you're talking about your phone. What phone do you have?
Oh, I have. Well, here I'll show you. I have a Google Pixel.
Okay. And in your opinion, is the best camera on a mobile phone?
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. You leave it at that.
I mean, my Instagram that's all that's there, so you can check it if you like the pics. Then.
Oh, what's your Instagram? Put the Instagram plug.
My Instagram plug. So I just changed it because I was so my childhood name growing up in Dominica was Space Route, and I was just like, I'm over this. I'm just so over this. So I just changed it. So I just changed it to devs.mp4. So it's just like devs, like a clip, like clips of my life, basically. So that's what's my Instagram is. DEV.mp4.
So I mean,
give us spell out the give me the promo code again. Radiance, right?
Radiance, RADIANCE.
One thing, Caribbean people like the discount, so make sure you read the discount.
As a matter of fact, the discount is only valid up until the 15th. at the stroke of midnight. So.
Oh wow!
All right, so
Yeah,
guys, you have 3 days. You have 3 days. 3 days to get $100 off.
Payday
So
Friday, let's go.
So
Put on
Devin,
your
it's going
250.
to
You
be
put
a
on your
big
250,
program.
and then you make the payments over the next 2 years. So, and the rates are not expensive. I can share that with you if you'd like to post it on your page. But
Yeah, share it with us.
yeah, for sure.
So
Man,
Devin,
people-
we winding down, and I mean, I could talk to you.
So we have a time limit. We have to stop at it.
Well, we
9?
like to keep people wanting more, you know, to come
Okay,
back.
whatever.
So,
We can do a part 2 or whatever you want to.
yeah, I mean, there's so much we have to talk about, you know, at some point, especially because we know there's so many people in Dominica that strive to do those things in terms of events and being better. And like we talked a little bit about that. So
We didn't even get into it. We just scratched the surface.
yeah, right. And, you know, we didn't even talk about necessarily like your difficulties dealing with, you know, putting on these events, which, you know, if you want to just talk about that really quick before we close up, just give like one or two
How we
things
did it.
Huh?
How?
No, just like one or two difficulties that you faced when you were putting on your event in Dominica to close out the Talk the Ting episode.
Well, like I said, just a lot of planning and logistics. Trying to convince people. Well, so like Viva is a completely weird concept in Dominica.
Mm-hmm.
We had issues just convincing our production vendors to do the things that we needed. We had to switch between vendors at certain points because they're just like, man, I don't understand how you want to have a truck and do this and do that. I'm just like, just park the truck and turn it on. You know, so back to basics. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward there. I would say one of the hardest things is like we like our thing to look a certain way, and those things simply just do not exist in Dominica. So we bought what we had to buy, we made what we had to make, and we sent it down. So we had container loads of stuff coming down to Dominica, and now we have a warehouse. Well, I mean, it's not a warehouse, it's like a storage container, several storage containers actually, just full of our production elements. So when you see our stuff, that's our stuff. Our bars, our tables, our chairs, our high tops, our banners, our trussing, like everything that you see at Viva, we bought and brought to the island. So, you know, there's intrinsic and extrinsic costs in having to do that. And it makes it harder to start. But again, we didn't start from nothing. So, well, not now, you know, we were able to build over the years. So, you know, like I say, if you want to get involved in something like a Viva, just reach out to like Viva or, you know, any other event and say, hey, I love your event. I want to get involved. How can I get in? How can I help you be greater? You know, and I think that's a good place to start.
You know, and thank you for talking about that. And we'll kind of close on that note where, you know, we need to get out of this concept of it being a competition. And the more we work together effectively, we can build products to have, and then you branch out. We have this concept of only crabs in a barrel, like, oh no, I want to do
it. That crab barrel thing is a real thing. And, you know, one of the things that we do is we bring our experience from elsewhere and we try to raise the bar. Right. And in doing so, I mean, I can say for certain that since we started doing Viva in Dominica and since we did like World Crab Music Festival and showed other people what is possible, I have seen the bar start to, and of course, Infinite does a great job as well. I've seen the bar continuously raised with the quality of events that is starting to be put on, and people are trying more and they're doing new things. So I would encourage that 100%.
Awesome. I mean, on that note, Renee, before you close out, I just want to reinforce that, right? I mean, I don't think we're necessarily speaking about that in terms of just event planning or anything like that, right? We had a couple episodes where we spoke about transitioning to the United States and, you know, utilizing the people that have been through it before, right? You know, reach out to people, don't be scared to network, make new friends, you know, try to gain information, right? Because experience is the best teacher. And a lot of times, for example, if I'm going to plan an event and I know Devin now, I can reach out to him and say, hey, what do you think about this and that? You know, and he'll give me feedback, right? Not saying that every piece of advice he'll give is, you know, is the Bible, but still, you know, he knows more than, he would know more than I would know, right? Yeah. I think as Caribbean people and you know, Black people, we need to do a lot more of that, you know, on a personal level and on a professional level, I would say. Right. I mean, Odell just said it your best. Your network is your net worth, right? It's definitely true, right? We have one question here. We have to ask you one question. I see we just get from somebody in the chat there. Have you been able to break even or realize a profit from all of these events that you've been putting on?
Yeah, I mean, most of our events are profitable. Most of them are. Like Viva has always been profitable. Every single Viva ever has been profitable. we have like one or two loss leaders. Like Bubbles and Brunch has never been profitable, for example, but it's so fun, and it's on my birthday. And when I say not profitable, like we'll lose like $500. So for me, that's like just like I
That's
went to
not bad.
the park. No, exactly. So
Yep.
like it's good for our brand, and it's a great time. So we do it. The only event I've ever like lost a ton of money on was like that festival that I did in Electric Carnival. But there's several factors that led up to that point that I've learned from, and that was a complete stretch experience. That taught me a lot more than I ever imagined I would have learned. I learned more doing that than I learned in college. I learned more than a lot of my years at Microsoft. Like doing that festival, like putting on that level of project management, because it's really just project management, right?
Yep.
That level of project management was really, really, really intense. And we did lose. But apart from that, like our events are profitable. Even the World Creole Music Festival thing that we did was profitable. And there was skepticism because the budget for that was very heavy, and they were used to having like 75 to 100 people, and we took it all the way up to like 1,500 people. So
wow,
yeah, it was a big production, big stuff. So
what you're saying is next Creole Festival, I have my VVIP ticket.
You can be an
exclusive access.
You know what? I'm gonna come and get you to be an ambassador, so you can start. And
I want to be an ambassador.
What do you mean? Let's go. You want to be an ambassador? I got you. We inside. You inside.
All right, good.
Hold on, Renee, hold on inside then.
Everybody come. Let's go. Everybody can be inside.
But I want to really thank you for coming on here. I use your name interchangeably, right? Dion, Devin.
That is my name, just in that order.
Yeah, Dion. But thank you so much for joining us and giving us some insight into your life and how you came about doing all these things that you do, and especially for being an ambassador to Dominica, whether or not you in an official capacity or just spreading the Dominica way in Florida along with your Dominican friends in Florida. I know there's a lot of them in Florida. So thanks.
When you coming? We have crime, Renee. We have crime and homicides.
Excuse me. When they match this hour, I'll come. But thank you so much. And before I close, I want to tell people to get their merch. Talk to Ting. You can check the website. Devin, you will get your complimentary merch that we'll send you just for participating, and that moving forward we'll be doing that for our guests coming on. And be well, and you have a friend in Talk to Ting, and now we have a friend in Viva, and all these experience. I can't wait. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Once the world kind of starts getting
opening
normalized, yeah, it'll be fun.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you. Cheers. Thanks, Joy.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye.